Hey there, investors. In today's video, we'll be covering Snowflake. We'll be looking at stock signals to help us indicate whether or not to take a position in this stock. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes, and any advice given here is solely my opinion. Please contact your financial advisor to obtain any further details or advice. So with that, let's dive right into the details. So I have an app called Stock Alerter that you can download from the Apple Store or the App Store on I think both Android and iPhone. And this app alerts you based on AI algorithms whether a stock is within a certain range to buy, and also gives you a target selling price. So the app has been proven to be pretty accurate for the alerts that I've been receiving as far as the free signals. So I just like to look at further information to see if these alerts are actually worth investigating to, and if that presents an opportunity for us to make potential returns on this position. So let's dive right into the alert. So we see that based on the alert I received, there's a free signal for buying snow at a price of $328.37 and selling it at $351 with 34 cents. So looking to see if this trade makes sense, we want to look at support levels and things of that nature, but also looking at the moving averages and seeing whether or not these targets actually make sense. So let's go into looking into this further. So Snowflake has been doing pretty good lately. It's been having a somewhat decline because of the lockup period expiring, and any insiders that held the stock before going public are now able to sell the stock. However, the stock has been somewhat coming back from that lockup period, which happened a few days ago. So looking at the two price signals, the current signal is saying that we should buy snow at 328 approximately and sell at 351 approximately. So if we look at that, we see that 328.71 is or this line roughly represents that buying target, versus the 351 line represents our selling target or our profit potential. So this right here indicates the potential that we can make in profit. So when we look at the 15-minute chart for snow, we see that the 328 line is actually a pretty good indicator of support. So if you see here, there's a level where the line shows support, another level here, a few levels here, and you see that the stock kind of goes down a little bit. Nonetheless, the support somewhat remains around that 328 price target. So looking at where it could go, and we see that the stock is already bouncing off of that support level, and it bounced off of a couple times, and it couldn't break that support level. You see here it came back up, and then it went back down. So, and we see that it went up roughly, if we're looking at this candle, it went up to a high of 346. Now the alert's saying that the stock could go up to 351, which is actually pretty possible when you look at where the stock has been before. So in previous periods, we see obviously the stock has been crushing, but we see that after breaking that 328 support level, the stock just climbed all the way up to a high of the 400s. Now, if we get a chance to potentially break that 328 level, we could see that the stock could easily make it to that 351 selling target level. So I think this right here is actually a pretty decent trade. Now remember, the app actually lets us know and informs us that a lot of these signals take roughly anywhere between a few days to at the most five or 6 weeks to actually reach their selling targets. So um, I think that this is actually a very decent trade. And if we look at what's been going on with Snow, as we talked about, the lockup period is currently over, but the stock has actually had interest from a lot of different types of investors. Most notably, one of the investors that works under Warren Buffett. So, under Buffett's firm, they've actually bought Snowflake, and a lot of these investors in the company are actually mostly made up of institutions, which is pretty big money. So it's a good positive sign, and I think there's a lot of potential here. The CEO is also has a pretty good reputable reputation, creating value, I believe, for previously being at ServiceNow, or another big tech company. So I think the potential looks promising in hitting that 351 target level. Now, if we look at the unusual option activity, we see that there's also a pretty big spike in the active in the volume of options. So we can see that currently there's a 78% volume of calls with 21% in puts. So given that, we can see that there's more calls to puts given this ratio. And if we dive into that further, we can see that a lot of the calls are actually coming from this 350 price range when we go to the expiration date of roughly December 24. So if we sort our table here by this volume over open interest, which is a good indicator for unusual activity in the option, we can see that the 350 price target is actually pretty voluminous. So there's a lot of investors here that think the price could move to 350 in the pretty short-term time frame. So the implied volatility is also pretty decent. It's not too high. So it looks pretty promising from the unusual option activity standpoint. So when we look at the actual price of this trade, with buying calls at the expiration of December 24th with the 350 strike price, we see that this trade roughly has open interest of 1,296 contracts, which is, pretty big position, close to that 1 million range, which we would indicate of unusual option activity, which is also indicative of this ratio here. So the higher it is, the more likely an indication of unusual option activity. So it looks like these folks are coming in here a little bit earlier, but I suspect that once the trading week ends, and if we do get a Santa Claus rally, which there's a lot of talk in the business news, we might see a pretty good potential in the upside. So yeah, that right there I think covers this alert. So we would technically be buying Snow at a price of 328 and selling it at 351 to make a gain of whatever the percentage comes out to be, but pretty sizable gain there. So yeah, there you go, guys. I'll keep you guys updated on any alerts I get, but just wanted to communicate this one across. And best of luck on any positions you end up taking.